What up, my fellow NBA lovers? This is your guy, Marcellus Ease, and this will be Friends in the City Volume 5, starring the Brooklyn Boys, as Kevin Durant pulled off a hell of a Game 5, in which he had a perfect second half performance, scoring 31 points, going 10 from 13 from field goal range, 3 of 5 from three-point range, 8 of 9 on free throws, and 0 turnovers. I believe he just had 1 foul. But surprisingly, the Bucks could not take advantage of James Harden being injured and just the Brooklyn Nets overall relying on third string guys. We even seen Jeff Green drop 27 points in this game. But Brooklyn is not quite out of their conundrum quite yet, because James Harden in this game was clearly hobbled by that injury that he had, but they kind of used him as a decoy in this game, and he played 46 minutes and had 8 assists. But they're going to talk about it, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
All eyes would be on Kevin Durant, and he delivered. Durant had arguably the game of his life last night as the Nets beat the Bucks 114-108. Brooklyn had fallen behind by 17 points, but KD put the team on his shoulders and finished with 49 points, 17 assists, and 10...
Now, if you look at all those plays right there, guess who's guarding him? PJ Tucker. And Tucker in this whole game was in foul trouble. Once again, the Bucks could not take advantage of just having KD out there by himself. And they kind of respected James Harden a little bit too much, as they even had Bobby Portis grab a DMP for this game. Another suspect defensive kind of move by Budenholzer, their coach. And best believe their coach, if he ends up losing this series with no Kyrie, a hobbled James Harden, his job is definitely going to be on the line.
17 rebounds and 10 assists while playing all 48 minutes, guys. The performance got everyone talking on social media last night, including Skip, who tweeted this. Kevin Durant just proved once and for all he's the best player on the planet. Nothing like him, including the phony GOAT. I cannot wait for tomorrow's
Skip, stay trolling LeBron.
Undisputed, and yes, Undisputed is here. Skip, we will get to you. Shannon,
yes,
we are here. Do you finally agree KD is the best player on the planet?
Why you got to bring you-know-who into it? He minded his business.
Where is you-know-who?
Yo, Shannon never gives Kevin Durant credit because he clearly sees Kevin Durant as a threat to LeBron's throne.
Whatever happened to LeBron James?
You always tried to include him. Skip, look, I won't deny it was the greatest performance I've ever seen from Kevin Durant.
And the performance was so great, it even mattered that PJ Tucker was in foul trouble. He was having trouble guarding Kevin Durant that whole game. And Kevin Durant was so perfect that it allowed Jeff Green to get that 27 points because all the attention was on Durant.
He was sensational, given what they had asked. And you and I had been talking about it for a day and a half. Skip, they're going to need 30 to 40. I said they're going to need 30 to 40. They're going to need about 13 rebounds. And they say, KD, why you at it? Can you give us 8 to 12 assists? He did it. He did everything and he was so efficient in doing it. Skip, he didn't shoot 30 times. I thought he'll need at least 30 shots to get that.
I agreed.
Once again, in the second half, it was a perfect performance. 0 turnovers, 10 of 13 from field goal range, 3 of 5 from three-point range, and 8 of 9 at the free throw line. Jesus.
Efficient, 23. But to answer Jenny's question.
Wait, say that again. 49 points on 23 shots. Go ahead.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
At 48 points in 48 minutes.
Yes. He was spectacular, but it's one game. And Skip, he's going to have to finish it off now, because he's given us a taste of what he can do when asked to do the things he's never been asked to do before. He was never asked to do that in Golden State. He was never asked to do that in OKC. He hasn't been asked to do that. Now James Harden's on one leg. We'll talk about Bud's game plan not to attack James Harden. We'll talk about that later. No Kyrie with an ankle. We don't know if Kyrie's going to be back game 6, game 7. He may be out for this.
Now, Shannon right there had brought up Bud's game plan. When he said Bud, he's referring to the Bucks coach, Budenholzer, man. Very questionable, yo. Once again, Bobby Portis had a hell of a game 4. Why did he grab a DMP for this game? And also, why do they respect James Harden so much in this game? He was guarding Brook Lopez on the defensive end. He was clearly hobbled up this whole game. He was just doing very minimal. He was almost like a decoy. It was so obvious. I don't know why the focus, was so much on, him and Durant. It should have just been primarily on Durant.
Series. But for KD to do what he did, Skip, that was something special. And I told him, I said, do not let him play one-on-one. Because if you let him get a rhythm, Skip, I don't care who you throw at him, it's over for you. That's with any great offensive player. Do not let him get a rhythm. Again, I'm going to say no, he isn't, Skip, because he's going to have to finish. I'm not going to base it on one game. Because since, Skip, I saw him.
Once again, the Bucks definitely feared James Harden because the way they kept guarding Durant, it's like they were just too scared of what James Harden could possibly do. They didn't want to get caught off guard. But I'm expecting the Bucks to make major adjustments in the next game because the Nets, to me, are still the underdog. They're going to have to close this out quickly as they can because they are very hobbled up with a lot of injuries. And it's definitely going to show the longer this series goes on.
Game 3, he go 11 of 28. I saw in Game 4, he go 9 of 25. I saw that.
He was he was overmatched against P.J. Tucker in Games 3 and 4. They had his number.
You know what happened?
And Bobby Portis also. But yet he gets a DNP in Game 4. I mean, in this Game 5, which is very questionable.
He fooled him. He baited him. He said, now what they're going to do is they're going to leave P.J. Tucker on me again. They're going to go one-on-one because they think P.J. Tucker can actually guard me. They played into his hands, Skip. And I told you this. I said this on Sunday. I said, Bucks, don't fall in love with the three. The advantage that you have on this team is your size inside. Skip, why is James Harden guarding KD? I mean, guarding Giannis with one leg and wave off help? Why would, if you look at the guys that Giannis is guarding, at some point in time, Skip, I'm not saying you start the game on him, but when you see KD getting it going in the fourth quarter, you say, Bud, I got this. No, because Giannis, for the longest time, Skip, he's been hiding behind, I'm just doing what my coach asked me to do.
Hey, Shannon called something out right there that's beautiful. He's definitely right about that. And that's why I said everything is really on Budenholzer. The fact that he couldn't take advantage of the Brooklyn Nets, all the injuries that they got in this game, he clearly had a lot of signs that told him James Harden was not 100%. Adjustments should have been made. And them blowing that 17-point lead in the second half is not something that's in his favor for him to keep his job.
Damn what the coach asked you to do. You're the defensive player of the year. You're that, not Tuck. And I love Tuck, but Skip, Tuck is undermatched. But no, to answer your question, to make a long story short and a short story long, and I know I was long-winded, I do not believe Kevin Durant, off of that one performance, that Kevin Durant proved he's the best player. Now, I have him 1-2. He and LeBron go back and forth. Now, if he finishes this...
Now, Shannon, before you keep going right there, I want to say this. When was the last time we seen LeBron put up almost 50 points in a game? Not recently, not in the past few years. I'll tell you that. If he was going to have a 50-point game, it should have been in that game that they just got eliminated in. With no AD, LeBron should have went up to that next level like he normally does, especially in his prime. But now the fact that he's not in his prime, I don't think he can go up to that level where he can drop 50 points, 12 assists, and like 12 rebounds. I don't think he could still do that.
Finishes it off this season because when Kyrie comes back, we still don't know how healthy he's going to be. We don't know if and when James Harden's hamstring.
Kyrie is going to be out most likely for the rest of this series. That's why I said the longer this series goes, the more it favors the Bucks. Even though the Bucks don't have home court advantage, it still favors them. Once again, I expect them to make major adjustments because James Harden is definitely not 100%. Once again, he was guarding Brook Lopez on the defensive end.
For a hamstring to be as bad as it was and that man to play 46 minutes and y'all don't take advantage of it, Milwaukee, y'all need y'all butt beat. Bud, you in trouble. No, he's not. But he was fantastic yesterday.
So even off what you just saw with your own two eyes, sitting up in your palatial estate in Bel Air, on your couch watching your gigantic television, you
probably LeBron James is right there with him, man. Who knows?
Still would not say that's the best player on the planet right here, right now.
But I will concede this. I started rooting for him. Even though I wanted the Bucks to win, and I had 3 cases. Skip, you ever been in a situation where you want another team to win, and somebody's doing something special, and you start all of a sudden you find yourself, well, I don't want y'all to win no more, because I want him to keep that going. I remember doing that watching Randy Johnson throw the perfect game against the Braves. I wanted the Braves to win, but I realized I was witnessing something special. I realized that I was witnessing something special. Well, damn, y'all Milwaukee. Come on, KD, get it. I'm mad because he didn't. How he missed that free throw to get 50, Skip?
The only mistake he made all night. Okay. I have told you for years, this is the best player on the planet. And you could make a case, and we'll debate this a little later in the show, that he is the greatest scorer in the history of this league.
Yes.
You definitely can. This guy, man, look at his seasons. Go on Wikipedia. Every season, this guy's shooting over 50%. And even with the Golden State Warriors, he was hovering almost near 60. Kevin Durant's a pure scorer. And guys are overlooking him, I guess because of his media image, but overall, Kevin Durant is legendary.
We've also made the case this year that James Harden is the greatest perimeter scorer we've ever seen.
Yes.
But the way Kevin scores, I have never seen anything like, because he's 7 feet tall. He handles it for 7 feet.
Great.
Pretty great.
We've never seen anybody handle the ball
not like
that.
this.
No, not at that size.
And we've never, ever seen anybody 7 feet tall shoot with the kind of range that he shoots with.
No.
And when he gets his rhythm, as you said, it goes deeper and deeper until it gets silly deep. Mm-hmm. And after the game, Steve Nash, who's been around a while and seen a lot of greatness, he said it was historic. He said it was ridiculous what he can do, because it's just ridiculous what he can do. And it was his signature night. That's also debatable, because a little later in the show, we're going to talk about his greatest game. I still slightly favor one against the phony GOAT back in 2017 in Game 3.
Yep, when he hit that shot right over LeBron. And that, to me, also signified the changing of a guard. The media won't admit this, but right then and there, Kevin Durant was much better than LeBron James. LeBron James defensively started backing off. When he was in Cleveland, he was not guarding the best players on other teams. And best believe in the 2018 finals, he didn't even guard Kevin Durant anymore. He had J.R. Smith guard Kevin Durant. And once again, you guys can look back at the footage, because all the receipts don't lie.
At Cleveland in the NBA Finals, just because it was the finals. But I do agree with your final takeaway. This game is sitting on a platter for all the world to behold, but it now is unfinished business.
Right.
Because let's just say they go on to win the NBA championship, which I'm certainly not ruling out today after what I saw last night. If they
Once again, look at that play right there. Jrue Holiday is guarding James Harden, giving James Harden way too much respect. The guy has a hamstring injury. He's not really even getting good passes off. There's no zip in his passes. He was kind of lobbing the ball very sloppy. Once again, the Bucks kind of feared what James Harden could possibly do if they paid too much attention to Kevin Durant.
could cap it off with the championship.
Oh, yeah.
Then you would look back at Game 5 of this round of the playoffs and you'd say, that's it.
Right.
Then that game would have much greater magnitude than it had as just a second-round game, right?
Plus, Skip, if it was a closeout game, this was the game before, or if it was Game 7.
It was a turning point game, but it wasn't the closeout.
It only pushed you up 3-2.
Okay, because obviously Milwaukee could go home and win it, and then they could get their you-know-what together, and they could come back and win Game 7, and I wouldn't be shocked by that either, depending on the health of Harden and Kyrie.
Correct.
Okay, now, here's why last night was so all-time special to me.
It was.
James Harden proved to be a liability last night, and I still can't get it through my head. He played 46 minutes on literally one leg.
He did.
Yep, 46 minutes. And he definitely was a liability. Once again, he was guarding Brook Lopez. This is the reason why if they fire Budenholzer, they're going to justify it by looking back at all of this.
As a complete liability on both ends of the floor. He couldn't score. He finally shot some little runner off the glass. It was midway through the third quarter.
But yet, they still had Jrue Holiday guarding him as if he was about to knock down a bunch of threes. You guys seen the highlights. I don't understand this once again. But I expect the Bucks to make major adjustments in Game 6.
Got the and-1.
And he got an and-1, and that's it. Yeah. That's all he got. James Harden was 1 for 10. And can I remind everybody, maybe the greatest perimeter scorer ever, but if we just hark back to 2018, 19, and 20, he led the league in scoring with averages of 30 points and 36 points and 34 points. Yeah.
Now, if you look at these highlights, James Harden just a bunch of bricks. And for them yet in the fourth quarter to let Kevin Durant still be cooking like this, it's crazy, man. Once again, all this kind of falls on the coach. Should have peeped it from the jump.
That guy couldn't sniff a basket last night. That guy couldn't even handle the basketball. When it was in his hands, I was saying, get it out of your hands. Just give it to somebody. Get out of the way. Just go hide in the corner.
Well, how could you see his liability, but Budenholzer in the Bucks couldn't?
I don't know, because on defense, he just hid in the middle of the lane because he's just barely moving. He played, quote unquote, without actually playing basketball.
Exactly.
Yep, Skip is right about that. And once again, that injury that James Harden have, that hamstring issue, it's not going away anytime soon. So once again, the Bucks, I expect them to make major adjustments, and that's why I keep saying the Brooklyn Nets are not out of their predicament yet.
James Harden last night, seriously, he looked like he hadn't played basketball in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Could I please remind everybody, he did play against Boston in the first round, and he played 5 games, and he played like James Harden. And he averaged 28, 7, and 11 for those 5 games. And in the closeout game, which wasn't that long ago, it was on June 1st. What are we up to? The 16th. So it was just barely over 2 weeks ago. In the closeout game, James Harden scored 34 with 10 rebounds and 10 assists. Did you see that guy last night?
Nah.
What? And obviously in game 1, he re-pulled it. And he said he woke up yesterday and said, you know what? I got to go. And to Steve Nash's credit, this is very interesting because this is a tough call. I tweeted in the middle of the game, I would just put Mike James in and forget about it because Mike James could have played better distributing point guard. He could have helped KD more than James did. But what do we know about James and KD? Well, they came up together for the Thunder. They're very close.
Yeah.
So just on intangibles, just like having him out there.
They got a wavelength.
They just do, where they trust each other and they believe in each other, and I think they genuinely love each other.
None of that's going to matter in Game 6. If Budenholzer makes the adjustments he has to make as far as respecting what James Harden can do, because off that hamstring, I like to see him start making all those long threes. You need fresh legs for that. And James Harden going into the lane, we all know he's not going to be doing all that. So once again, all this camaraderie between KD and James Harden won't matter if the Bucks coach makes the proper adjustments. And if he doesn't, it's going to be his ass.
And so Steve Nash, as a former 2-time MVP, he knows I got to leave him in there just for the intangibles, just for his presence on the court.
Because that's what he gave you. He didn't give you anything else.
It was pure presence. He gave you nothing else, to the point where he was overmatched just trying to distribute the ball. How many loopy, careless passes he just get it out of his hands and just loop it up the court? And I'd say, don't do that.
Yep, Skip saw the same thing I seen. But I'm surprised they didn't mention him guarding Brook Lopez on the defensive end. That's how much James Harden, they didn't really have him moving around like that. But just like the hip-hop group, the Amigos, you know, they kind of went on their solo careers, each individual player, but they're pretty much at their best when they're all together. And it might be the same issue here with the Brooklyn Nets. We'll see if they can get another perfect performance from KD, because if not, it seems like these 3 guys are going to really need each other to get to that next level. So we'll see how this plays out. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Peace.